Sales pressure is something you're going to want to learn to get rid of on your sales calls. It can naturally build up throughout the call, depending on how you, as the closer, as the appointment setter, as the sales professional, are treating the conversation. The questions you ask, the tone you give off, the direction that you're taking the call in overall can lead to building a massive amount of sales pressure. And when sales pressure gets too high, you're going to see the prospects start to close off. Their trust for you is going to diminish. And overall, it's going to make the sale very, very hard. And there's lots of ways you could be creating sales pressure on your calls, but we're going to talk about one big one today that I see over and over and over again from sales reps, and that's how they transition into their pitch. When done incorrectly, the pitch can be an area where you put massive amounts of sales pressure on your prospects, and it starts with how you transition into it. I'm not going to talk about the whole transition because that can be a video in itself. I just want to talk about the very end. What are the exact words you use to go from discovery to transition to pitch? Problem with the way most people finish out their transitions and jump into their pitch is they just do it. It's this sharp cut where they're either just starting their pitch out of nowhere, or they're just saying, hey, can I pitch you? Or hey, can I tell you about this service? Or hey, can I let you know what we do? They're either just pitching or they're telling the prospect, hey, I'm going to pitch you now. And it can be something that blindsides the prospect. It can come out of left field sometimes. A lot of people are very, very sharp with how they treat transitioning into their pitch. And when you think about how a good discovery should go, it's easy to see how this can kind of turn a prospect off. If you think about it, you just spent all of this time diving into their problems, their deepest fears, their biggest insecurity when it comes to the thing they're struggling with, their goals, their desires. The prospect is getting so vulnerable with you, and you finish up that vulnerable, that deep, if you did the discovery right, it's usually a deep, vulnerable, sometimes emotional, depending on what you're selling, conversation, just to immediately, like, kind of abruptly, sharply be like, cool, can I pitch you now? Hey, can I sell you my service now? And in another video, I'll talk about how to do the full transition to really make it a natural, seamless, non-sales pressure building way to get into your pitch. But the last piece you always want to finish that transition with is you want to get the prospect to ask you to pitch them. Because when they ask you to pitch them, their wall comes down. The sales pressure is almost never there when you're doing something that they have asked you to do. That's why when you're kicking off the call, you're about to frame the call, you also say, hey, you ready to kick it off? And them saying yes, they're agreeing, they're pretty much saying, yes, please start this call. The frame doesn't come across so awkward and weird and you trying to force the situation, force the trajectory of the conversation. Just like the pitch, I'm going to ask if they're ready to be pitched, or if they want to be pitched, or if it makes sense for me to pitch them. And the way I'll do it is after I go through my transition, I'm usually getting them to come into agreement with what the problem is. Again, I'll talk more about that in another video. And then I'm saying, hey, if you'd like, I can walk you through A to Z, what it might look like for us to work together to solve XYZ problem that they just agreed they had. Is that something you want to do? Or I'll finish it off with, that's something I can do. Let me know if you'd want to go into that, or let me know where you'd like to go, what direction you'd like to head in now, where you'd like to progress to. I'm going to use some kind of language where I'm just kind of saying, hey, this is the problem you're struggling with. Do you agree with that? They say, yes, that is the problem. And if I could solve that, that would be awesome. I'm saying, well, hey, I can walk you through A to Z, what it might look like for us to work together to solve that problem. But you let me know if that's something you want to hear about. And then I'm kind of, fully stepping out and, throwing my hands up, not always doing that body language, but it's almost like a verbally throwing my hands up and being like, hey, it's up to you, man. Let me know what you want to do. Super non-aggressive, super non-pushy, super non-forward leaning. But naturally their response is 100 times out of 100. At least I've never gotten a different response other than, yeah, talk to me. How can you help me? And it's that language you get back from them that's so powerful. Them being like, yes, how can you help me? What can you do for me? How can we move forward? How can we work together? Right? Because I'm framing that question as, hey, I can show you how we could work together to solve your problem so that you can achieve goal. Let me know. And they're like, yeah, tell me, how can we work together? Now, everything I say afterwards, they're not starting out their listening of my pitch with all of this sales resistance and sales pressure, right? I want to lower that resistance. I want to lower the pressure so that they're more open to my pitch, that they're actually listening and they're hearing my pitch. And we're starting the pitch from the frame of mind of solving that one big problem and achieving that one big goal that we just came into agreement on right then and there. And it's so, so powerful. Your pitch goes over so much better. People are way more attentive and they just don't have as much resistance, which is what you want. You don't want to pitch with them holding on to all of this resistance, because then obviously the chances that they buy are a lot lower. If you're not doing that, give it a try. It makes a world of a difference. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with everyone that I've coached on sales, with all the teams that I've worked with. It is a huge difference, and not many people do it. But if you do it, it will help. Give it a shot. See you guys in the next video.